Hi, I'm Darius Brown II, and this is my TED Talk presentation on social media effect on student athletes. And it's really generally on all college students and student athletes, but I dialed it down to student athletes more because of the negative effect of social media, which we'll talk about in the TED Talk. But to move on, so this first slide is just a whole general information and statistic on social media, because social media is so huge now. It's grown in the past 10 years, decade, because everybody uses it now, all adults, all teenagers, and it leads to a lot of things, positive and negatives. But this is just a general statistic about who uses it. And as you can see at the top, 98% of college age students use social media. And that's why I'm doing this presentation on student athletes and college students, basically because of that statistic alone. So yeah. So one of the issues with social media is obviously it's very public, and sometimes you can't hide everything about yourself, and sometimes things slip up and they're not supposed to be shown. But that's obviously that comes with the deal, and that's what everybody pretty much knows. So the biggest thing that I'm here to talk about with the issues of social media is internet addiction and what that comes with. Internet addiction comes with things a lot because of the exposure of it. It's what you see. The exposure of what you see on social media can lead to a lot of things. Sleep deprivation is one of them, but like alcohol and tobacco use and even obesity, there's a lot of things that can be seen like on, and it could cause internet addiction, or what internet addiction can cause. And a lot of people don't even think that they do have internet addiction, but unfortunately some of these people do. And it's sad, but it happens the worst in adolescence, because that's what you see in adolescence. There's a lot of things going on, but that's a big issue with social media. Now the next slide is like positives with social media, and that's for college students. It's great, connect with other people, and that's how you meet people. And nowadays, they say that you could, or they've always said, you find the love of your life in college, and that's great because, a lot of people can mingle and connect through social media just through looking at someone's Instagram profile and wanting to talk to them. So that's a great way of, social media has rubbed off on things, and you can make yourself look however you want, whatever confidence you lack in person, you can kind of build that in social media, and you could create yourself to look however you want to feel. And maybe social media just gives you that confidence to talk to someone that you thought you might not have ever talked to, or do stuff in that manner. And one of the biggest things for me is like catching up on news. Like I followed the presidential election through Twitter, not through CBS or any of those news anchors, which CBS, NBC, all those news, Fox. So I didn't follow it through that. I followed it through Twitter because a lot of the politicians are on Twitter, and it made everything easier for me. And I know there's a lot of fake news that can go on Twitter, but if you really care that much, you'll go through the sources and you'll see what's real and what's fake. And I liked it, and it caught me up a lot on the presidential election this year. So that's another positive with social media, and it's a big positive actually. Now, negatives with social media, and I'm going to get to this picture that's kind of behind here, and it looks kind of inappropriate, but it's not. So student athletes need to be more careful with social media because of there's a lot more scarce consequences. I mean, there's a lot more consequences with bad posts. For instance, posting that you're just partying all the time, or giving off this image that you're, drinking, smoking, all that stuff, because all those negatives can be led to suspension or loss of scholarship, especially if a college has brought you on their campus to be a leader, a great athlete, and be good in this classroom, and then they see your social media and you're doing all this stuff that contradicts those things that they want you to be. It can cause a lot of problems like suspension and loss of scholarship, and that's a big problem. And the biggest negative is that it could catch you up, and it can make you look bad even though you're not trying to look bad. And you kind of have to bottle yourself up as a student athlete and put yourself in a box of like what you want people to see. Students are a little bit more free with that, but at the same time, it can be bad for them too, because it can catch you up in a job interview years down the line. I don't necessarily know the technicalities of it, but I know that, social media can catch you up and put you in bad spots that you do not want to be in. And this is a prime example. This is a picture of Johnny Manziel, and he's a guy he ended up, getting kicked out of the National Football League because of just ongoing problems. But this was a problem with him going into the NFL anyway. People were worried about this, basically, him just promoting that he's not serious about whatever he's doing and all that type of stuff. And another big problem is face-to-face communication. Like, face-to-face communication is big, and with social media, sometimes you feel like you don't have to talk to anybody in person anymore, and that can cause problems in the long run, and it can make you socially awkward, and it can make you lose that sense of actually knowing how to read a person, and it can make you look really bad. So that's another negative. But the next thing is just students versus non-student athletes, and consequences are just more severe for student athletes. I feel like there's more at stake in the moment, but in the long run, I feel like it could equally be as bad. Students have, because like regular students or non-student athletes have more freedom. They don't have to promote themselves in any type of professional way at that time, so they can kind of do what they want. It doesn't matter. And student athletes kind of have to bottle everything up. But basically, these are all the positives and negatives of social media and what it does for college students and college student athletes. And I hope you enjoyed the TED Talk.